Hi, hello, welcome to my new series, Philosophy in the Car. This is where I park and I have a reflection on some philosophical topics. Yes, there might be some background noise because other cars are moving about, but I feel comfortable in the car. So I'm beginning this series with a conversation on ethics. The first topic that needs discussion is the idea of where do you find ethics? Looking for ethics, we talk about something being right, something being wrong, moral, immoral, but where should we look for this ethical activity or quality, right? Well, in any act, there are three elements. There is the doer of the act, we call that the moral agent. There is also the act itself, and we also have the consequences. So you hear on the radio, I'm heading to work, I hear on the radio in the car, there's a bank robbery last night. So automatically I think, it's like instantaneous. There were bank robbers or bank robber. There is the act itself of removing the bank's property, okay? And then there are the consequences. The bank has a loss and the robbers have a gain. When you look for morality, you look along these three elements. You could say that the agent or the person itself can be moral or immoral. Right? You can also say that the act itself can be moral or immoral. And you can also look at the consequences as moral and immoral. People who tend to look at morality from the point of view of the agent are called virtue ethicists. Right? They think there's some quality in the person. The person is morally good. And because they're morally good, they're going to do the right thing. All right? Other people emphasize the act itself. They think there are certain acts that are permissible and certain acts that are impermissible. These people we generally call deontologists. Okay? They believe there are certain acts that can and must occur for you to have morality. And then there are people who focus on the consequences, the results, the effects of the act. And we call these people consequentialists, sometimes teleological. Because they're looking for the overall effects of the act. If it's positive, it's moral. If it's negative, it's immoral. Right? But let's go back to that bank robbery. Right? When the action takes place, you have the trilogy completely. Right? If this act is immoral, is there an ideal world? The bank robber is immoral, the act itself is immoral, and the consequences are immoral. Similarly, John tells the truth. If John's act of truth-telling is moral, if morality took place there, if you look for it, John should be moral, the act itself of truth-telling is moral, and the consequences are moral. So in ideal settings, you get the trilogy. Okay, but when you look at it philosophically, you don't necessarily always have it. For example, John could be a liar, okay, and he decided to tell the truth. So he engaged in a real ethical act of telling the truth. So the ethical act took place, and then there's positive consequences. He himself is a bad guy. He's a liar, right? So you may lack certain virtues. You may lack this quality for yourself. You're not good in that way. But if you use your willpower to do the right thing, you're going to have the right results. Okay? Now, we ask another question. Is it possible to engage in an act, okay, that's not necessarily moral and have positive consequences? Of course, there are situations of that type, and you can think of some yourself, okay, where John lies. Maybe John lies to a friend to whom is now drunk and angry, and the friend wants his gun that John said that he'll keep for him. And the friend asks for the gun, and John knows the situation is that if I tell him where it's at, be negative consequence on someone. So John lies. I don't remember right now where that gun is. Okay? And when John does that, what he's doing is promoting the greater good, the consequences, all right? So he engaged in an activity that would typically take to be unethical, immoral, lying. But the end result is that the greater good has taken place. No one is harmed today. His friend goes home and sleep off his drunkenness, okay? So you have a situation where the consequences can be elevated such that the act itself becomes, more flexible to engage in. Now we ask ourselves, is it possible now to do it without the consequences? And the answer is no, because ultimately ethics deals with how you treat other people. It's about an effect on other people. And so you cannot do away with the consequences. The consequences always matters. However, philosophically, we still have a small dilemma. When you say the greater good, what exactly are you talking about? And when you dig deep into this idea, you run into a certain situation. It really depends on your worldview, on your metaphysical view of reality. You know, if John happened to be a religious person, his view of telling the truth, his view of reality is that there's a God, there's a heaven and hell out there, and he has to do the right thing to go to heaven. His decision will be different than if John is a materialist. If he's a materialist, he's going to calculate differently. He's going to calculate in the present. There is no God. There is no force out there. So what I need to focus on is the greater good right here, right now. And I don't want my friend to go to prison for anything like this. Okay? Well, if he's religious, he's going to be calculating differently. Please understand, this is very important. You're all promoting the greater good, but what you think the greater good is matters. Your metaphysical view of reality matters, and that's the bottom line. So if you're looking for morality or the sincere nature of a moral act, all right, and you judge a person and you see what they're doing, you say it's wrong, you got to figure out what is their worldview. If they're promoting a worldview that's different from yours, they may still be moral people engaging with good moral intention. Now you have a conflict of philosophies. A conflict of philosophy cannot be resolved just by morality. It's an understanding. You need to get into philosophy and do a little philosophy. If the person totally disagrees with you, right, then you have to sit and have a philosophical discussion and nudge them in your direction. But if you should sit down to nudge them if and only if you yourself are prepared to give up some of your view of reality. You really have to be nudged towards them. Without a debate, there can be no real solution. Well, there is one solution. You go to war, you fight, and whichever one wins, their view of reality dominates for a while. Either you go to war or you go to a philosophical discussion. That's what I see, all right? So when you're looking for morality, you can look at the agent, you can look at the act, and you can look at the consequences. But ultimately, your view of reality is going to determine a lot. In particular, the sincerity of the doer. And in their mind, they might be doing the right thing because their view of reality allows for it. And this is a philosophical issue that cannot be resolved instantly. It's no real solution except for get more people to buy in to the particular view that you're promoting, that view of reality, whether it's materialism, religion, or some kind of spiritual version. There are many versions of reality out there. Even in materialism, there are different concepts of materialism. Religion, there's different concepts of religion. Spirituality, or with the quantum mechanics and the people who believe in energy fields and everything come from energy, that's a different view of reality. All of these specifies, okay, a different concept of what the greater good is, which means the acts that are considered moral changes. That's it. I think I better get going now. Feel free to comment, feel free to disagree, and I will respond to your comments down below. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.